So a lot of the feedback surrounding these videos is like, yeah, these are okay, but man, why is he so negative? Which is kinda, yeah. I get home from work, I'm tired, it's almost the end of the week, and then I gotta yak into some really bright lights without a teleprompter until 1 in the morning. But the good news is, this is the last time I'm gonna have to do that. At least for a little bit. Anyway, assuming Base79 decides not to nuke my YouTube channel, you might start to see some ads on these videos, because like, money. I'm gonna try and stick to the skippable pre-roll ads, because while it might not bother Bicycling Magazine to have PEDs floating over its fitness section, it certainly would upset me having an ad bubble linking to it floating over my face while I complained about it. I mean, you can see what some of the issues I'm worried about here would be, yeah? Marketing and advertising can be tricky like that, which is why it's great to have Velocio as a t-shirt sponsor this week. They want every rider to have really great cycling clothing, I want every fan to have really great cycling videos. It should always be this easy. Links in the description. Iris Slappendel won the Ronde van Lekkerkerk in a 2-up sprint against Marianne Vos, who is her teammate. I'm always a little suspicious about finishes like this, especially because this is Slappendel's home race. Plus, this video pretty clearly shows Vos trying to get away and then Slappendel chasing her down, which is just kind of weird. Yeah, well, I guess you don't get too bent out of shape about it when you're still racing bikes and they're already naming events after you. And in fact, the Rabobank Marianne Vos Classic takes place this Sunday, though you wouldn't know it from the UCI's website, which still uses the old name. But you know, this does really make me appreciate the effort the ASO is putting into promoting the La Course Women's Downtown Paris Criterium this summer. Even something as trivial as a team's announcement was still really well publicized, and Universal Sports is now signed on as the event's US broadcaster. Of course, as we all know from this Giro, that doesn't guarantee we'll be able to watch it, but on the men's side, the news this week was something of a throwback to the mid-aughts. IAM Cycling's former future star Heinrich Hausler won his first race in a long time in a group sprint at the first stage of the Bayern Rundfahrt. Not to be outdone, former group sprinter Tom Bonen took 2 field kicks in the opening stages of the Balois Belgium Tour, beating among others a back from injury Andre Greipel, who still seemed a little off his best. Completing the trifecta, CyclingNews.com, which was sold in 2007 for $4.4 million, changed hands again, this time to the unpromisingly named Immediate Media as part of a $40 million package deal. Pro, it was sold along with Futures Craft publications, meaning I can still make modern crochet jokes. Con, $40 million for race reports that are frequently full-sentence rewrites of the results sheet. But the big news this week was that the Giro d'Italia was blown apart as under horrific conditions, Movistar's Nairo Quintana slipped away from the peloton on the descent of the Stelvio and continued to inflate his lead all the way to the finish line, taking the stage in a commanding GC advantage. This should have been the reaction.
Quintana. That creep can roll, man.
But instead, everyone got really wrapped up in the fact that race organizers had said the race was neutralized and Quintana had gone away on the descent anyway. Fortunately, the powers that be clarified that the neutralization was only what they tweeted and said over race radio, but not actually what they meant, so no harm, no foul, right? I go into this in some detail in an article I wrote for Competitive Cyclist that should be going live today, but pretty much this is everything that's wrong with the sport's officiating structure in a nutshell. The rules are absent or at best ambiguous, so officials can make whatever decision they want to without ever being held accountable. Like, as much as I hate to agree with Jim Okowitz ever, the situation is, as he says, pretty much identical to a rail crossing. But instead of a train, you had an inadvertent announcement of neutralization by race officials. Of course, that would involve the race officials admitting that they did inadvertently say that the race was neutralized, which would, by extension, involve them saying that they were wrong. So obviously that's not going to happen. In fact, while the controversy has really been sold as being about Quintana's lead, if you read the text of the actual protest, you can see it's pretty clearly aimed at the organizers. And I quote, "Both the organizer and the commissars remained absent to correct the situation where there was enough time to do so. When asked by the AIGCP, the UCI commissars have specifically denied to have heard the instructions." Well, can't argue with that. If there's one thing the UCI is good at, it's denial. I'm Cosmo Catalano, and that was the week in bike.